Good morning, everyone. It's 10:30 p.m., which is why I'm in my pajamas. I was going to take my bonnet off for the video, but I don't want to fiddle with my twists too much, and also, who cares? So I'm on break from school right now until September, and I've been enjoying it quite a lot. I've been glued to my Nintendo Switch playing Tomodachi Life for the past almost 2 weeks. I love that game so much. It's been keeping me sane. But leading up to summer starting, I was applying for a couple of jobs because I thought it would be nice to have a summer job to make my own money. I think that would be cool. And they were all library related because I'm in school for library and information science. So I thought it would be really cool if I was able to get some library experience just as a page for, experience. So I applied to like 4 positions, I'm pretty sure, and they were all at libraries that are relatively close to me commute wise, so they wouldn't be difficult to commute to, which is good for me because I can't drive. I only heard back from one of the positions, which was the library that was closest to me. It was my local library, and I thought, this is awesome. That's the one that I wanted the most. It's the one I cared about the most. It was a page position. It was at my local library. I volunteered at my local library for like 6 months. This would be great if I got this job. So I got the phone call. What is it called? When they let me know that they're interested in an interview and they just ask me 1 or 2 questions about availability and that they want to invite me for an interview, and I was so excited. And then a week later, actually that week, I got that call on Monday, and then the interview was that Friday. So then that Friday, I had the interview. I thought it went okay. I was quite nervous, and afterwards I did feel really bad that I spent a lot of time just thinking about the answers I wanted to say. That's why I don't like interviews. Even when I practice, during the actual interview, I just blank. Afterwards, I feel so bad, because then I'm like, oh, I could have said this. When they asked me, tell me about a time you had to juggle 1 or 2 or 3 tasks at a time, and how did you balance that, and what was the result? I, pulled a random answer out of my booty hole and just hoped that it was okay. And then when I got home later, I thought of another answer I could have said that was even better. And I was like, damn it. Oh. I guess the only thing I will say was that being in an interview, getting to that stage was nice. It's been a really long time since I've even had an interview. So I guess I was kind of out of my depth because it had been so long. Even when I did practice a little bit in my head. But the thing is, I kind of wish I knew what questions they would ask before going into the interview. You can't, email me the questions. Why can't that be a thing? That should be a thing. I should know what questions are going to be asked for that interview specifically, so I can be prepared. So I can be more prepared and come up with answers instead of trying to think of something off the top of my head, because I'm not good at that. And then I end up having to ask them to repeat the question so I can stall for more time and think of an answer. And then I'm just sitting there in silence for 30 seconds trying to think of something, going or that's a good question, or thinking, when in reality my mind is just blank. I'm blue screening. One thing I will say about the interview is that the people were very nice, and I guess the thought of working with very nice people at the library seemed really cool. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell by my tone, but I didn't get the job. Earlier this week, I got an email, and as soon as I saw the subject, it said, "Thank you for your interest," I was like, oh. Honestly, I didn't even have to read it, but I did anyway. It was pretty short. They were just thank you for your time. While we were impressed with your qualifications, they ended up hiring someone who had experience and qualifications that matched what they were looking for. Then I was like, I understand, I guess, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, what experience did they have that I didn't? I'm in school for library and information science. I volunteered at that library that I applied for a job at. I grew up going to that library. I don't know, like, I just assumed maybe that would earn me some points, as if interviews have a point system. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them do. I don't know, I just went into this spiral of just being like, what did they do right that I did wrong? Maybe they didn't take as long to answer questions. Maybe they were better at articulating their answers than I was, and it made it, I don't know, more persuasive. Maybe they actually have like paid work experience at a library, and that, I don't know, that helps. I'm saying I don't know a lot, but I really don't. Like, what is going on? Now, I don't want to sound like I'm jealous. I am, but I don't want to sound like it. I do, but I don't want to sound like it. The main reason why this sucks so hard is because it's the job that I cared about the most, like I mentioned before. The other ones I applied for, I didn't even hear back from them at all after I applied. And I applied to those places before, and I never heard anything back, ever. At least in this case, I knew that I would hear back whether I got the job or not. I was just waiting for it once the 3-week point came around when they said I would hear back. I don't know what's worse, not hearing back at all, just getting ghosted, or getting the rejection email and then feeling sad about it. Either way you feel bad. I think getting ghosted by a job is worse, because they didn't even have the decency to let you know that you didn't get it. So I would rather get the rejection email than get ghosted. Both of them suck and I don't like them. This whole experience just reminded me of how difficult it is to find a job right now. It shouldn't be this difficult, but it is. The job market is absolute cheeks. Before I went back to school, I did like, I don't know, like a workshop, like a job, what was it? Like a job readiness workshop for people on the autism spectrum like me to, like, you know, learn these skills and like interview preparation. We did mock interviews, all the stuff you would need in order to be ready to apply for a job, the different stages of that. And afterwards, I applied for, how many did I apply for? I applied for at least 30 jobs, and I kept track of all of them in a spreadsheet, and I heard back from exactly 0 of them. Some of them probably weren't even real. I don't know, like with AI now, it can be hard to tell. Maybe some job postings aren't even real, or they're just there, but they're not actually hiring. Companies are always like, oh, we're hiring, we're like looking for new people, and then they're not actually doing that. What was the point? Just thinking about applying for a job makes my stomach retch. Ugh, it makes me feel sick, because then I'm reminded of all the work that I'm gonna have to put into making sure my resume looks good, tailoring, if I'm applying for different types of jobs, tailoring my resume and cover letter to fit that exact same job. I shouldn't have to do all of that work just to apply and most likely not even get to the interview process. What also sucks is that so many of these companies are like, oh, you have to have X amount of experience, you have to have 1 year of this, you have to have 2 years of that, you have to have 3 years of this kind of experience just to work at freaking McDonald's. Why? What are you talking about? Even the position I applied for, which is a library page, it's supposed to be entry level. It said like grade 9 and up, like you could be in high school and do that. I assume that a high schooler isn't the one who got the position over me, but if they did, like what experience does a 16-year-old have that me, a 26-year-old, doesn't? I don't know. When I think about that, I start to think, like, I don't know, I start to get into this negative mindset about myself. I'm like, oh, did I not do enough like volunteer hours in high school to put on my resume to seem impressive? Did I not do enough extracurriculars in school to seem more impressive and like, wow, look at all the things she's done? I don't know, the like 2 paid jobs I did have, was I not at them long enough? Do I not do enough volunteer work in my adulthood to be like, wow, look at all the things she's done? That's impressive. Am I not achieving enough? I don't get it. I don't know why it seems to be so easy for some people and it's so difficult for most of us to just hear back after we apply for a job. One of the primary reasons why I decided to go back to school is so that after I graduate, the chances of me getting a job would be a little bit better, at least marginally better than before, since I didn't graduate the first time. And I'm in school for something that I'm actually interested in, and like it's a field that I would like to be in. But then when I apply for jobs that are, it's the entry level part of the field that I want to go in, I don't hear back from most of them, and then I get an interview and then I get rejected. It's really disheartening and demoralizing. It just makes me want to give up and just wait until I graduate to actually apply, or wait until after I do the field placements in my program that are mandatory to graduate. At least with the field placements I'll have experience, but I'm not doing that for another year, so I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Should I just focus on school and doing well in that regard, and then after I graduate maybe I get a job, and even then it won't be full-time right out of graduation. It would just be part-time. How old will I be? I'll be like 28, turning 29. I don't know, will people be like, wow, she's 29 and doesn't have enough experience? I don't know if you can tell, but I feel very strongly about this and I'm very upset. I don't know what's going on. Can someone explain it to me? There is no reason why finding a job should be so difficult. It's especially difficult for Gen Z, for young people like me. Like, I'm Gen Z. I was born in 99. I don't know, I guess the companies don't want to hire young people. I know a lot of people, especially in the older generations, are like, oh, young people don't want to work. They don't want to. Yeah, we do. There are some people who are genuinely just lazy and don't want to do anything, but I would say the majority of us want a job. We want to work, but like, why do I have to put so much work into a resume and cover letter for a minimum wage job? Why do I have to put in all of this effort, all of this work just to get rejected from, I don't know, a position flipping burgers at Wendy's? What? I've seen other people my age airing their grievances about how absolute dog shit the job market is now, and how impossible it is to find a job that just, even if it's just minimum wage, forget anything full-time, like salary, like that's even more impossible. I've seen people with master's degrees struggling to even get part-time work. Why? It's just so frustrating. And even for people like me, who is part of several marginalized groups, one of them is obvious because look at me, but I'm also disabled. I'm visually impaired and I'm autistic. It's even harder for us to find jobs that just pay minimum wage. Like, I just want to make my own money. Is that too much to ask for? Like, I can't live in my parents' house forever. I mean, I love the fact that I still live at home and I don't have to pay rent. If anything, it would be irresponsible for me to move out now, you know? And also, where am I gonna go? I'm not even gonna talk about how impossible it is to find a place to live. I think I would feel a lot better about still living at home if I had a job. I know in recent years it's not out of the ordinary for people to be in their 20s and 30s still living at home. I guess in that regard I'm very fortunate, but I would just like to make my own money. I think that would make me feel good. The two jobs I did have in the past, and they were both office administration related, because that's what I was in school the first time, like right out of high school. I was doing those jobs and making my own money, and it felt nice. It felt good that I did work that I was good at and I enjoyed mostly, and I got compensated for it. That felt good. That's how jobs work. I'm just so exhausted. Like, I'm getting emotional even thinking about it and talking about it, so I try not to. I'm just so tired. And I can't help but feel at least a little bit jealous of people who seem to have enough experience or seem impressive enough or come off as more articulate in interviews, who can land a job so easily, but I can't. I'll admit it, I'm jealous. I don't care if that sounds mean or bitter, that's how I feel. I guess the only thing I can do is not think about it anymore. It would have been great to have a job over the summer, to not only get experience, but also make my own money. It would make me feel better about paying my tuition for the rest of my education. I don't even want to talk about applying for scholarships. That's another thing. That's kind of the same, I feel the same way about that as applying for jobs, except the scholarship is like free money money, but I still have to put in the same amount of work. I have to make a scholarship resume. I have to like make my letter of intent, which I get really emotional when I have to talk about myself. I never know what to say. And then I go through that same cycle of being like, what experience do I have that's impressive enough to warrant getting like a couple $1,000s to help me pay for my education? I'm so tired. I'm so done. Let me know if you feel the same way. I know I'm not alone in this, but, you know, it would be nice to actually see it in the form of comments, I guess. I think that's all I wanted to say about this. I needed to get it out there and air my grievances about this because it's something that has bothered me for like the past 10 years since I'd been old enough to apply for jobs, even in high school. It just sucks so much and it makes me feel bad about myself because I feel like I don't have enough experience to seem impressive enough to get a job that just pays minimum wage. I don't even know what it's gonna be like after I graduate and I have to apply for the big jobs that require the education completion to even apply. After summer's over, I'll just focus on doing well in school. I can't think about this anymore. But yeah, let me know what you think, if you feel the same way, if you're also sick of all of this. We can be sick of it together. But this was very cathartic. I do feel better after making this. I've just been, ever since I got this short little rejection email, I haven't been thinking about it until now. I've just been playing Tomodachi Life. Thanks for watching. I hope this was therapeutic for you in some way. I'm gonna go to bed. Good night.